Well, good morning everyone and welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm and Nursery. Today we are working on a project that I have been wanting to do for a very long time. But it's the end of summer season and we're getting ready for fall when the nursery will be opening back up, and we need the front area where the studio is and then the little garden as people kind of drive in to look a little better than it does. We have had some, you know, as you own a nursery, you kind of get some plants that maybe don't look all that well because watering or sun scorch or what have you has happened. So we have a few things that just really need to get in the ground, and we really want to focus on some hydrangeas around this front entryway because we've got some pinnacle hydrangeas and then we have a few others as well, but the focus is going to be some more pinnacles just because this does get a lot of sun. We also have some roses that were brought in or gifted to us from Heirloom Roses, which I have a link down below for 20% off if you would like, and I'll just include that in this video as well. But super nice of them to send those out. If you missed our rose video, we just talked about all the different roses we got, and so anyways, they all kind of match and they look really cool together. So I'm going to be incorporating some of those roses into this garden and then also spotting them around. Today's video, we are gardening. We're taking a garden that has dilapidated old lavender that is, I think it's a French variety, but it doesn't get quite enough sun, so it leans over. It's old and woody. Nobody ever took care of it. It was here when we got here, and it's just time to come out. So we're going to be replacing that with a few things. Keith is going to go shopping at another nursery and get a few things to add to this. I'm going to be penciling it out, kind of thinking about what we're going to do, but that's what we're doing this week. We're giving this little garden here at Crowley House a makeover for fall. So I'm also going to try and get over to the studio side and pop in, clean up garden beds, and maybe put a few color spots in and things like that. So we'll see how far we get on this project. It might be just the little circle garden that we get done, and then the next video will be the studio. We'll see how it goes and how long this video ends up being. Anyways, we've had quite a bit of rain this morning, which was a surprise. I didn't know it was coming, but a little bit of thunder, lightning, but it made for a beautiful show this morning, and it just kind of, the earth smells so good. The birds are happy, and I don't know, this is the first summer that we've had quite a bit of rain. We don't normally, you know, usually we're dry 6 months out of the year-ish, you know, we'll have a little bit here and there, but this year we've had some pretty substantial just rain, you know, showers kind of thing, I would say. Not raining all day, it's just like dump. But anyways, it was just so nice to wake up when we've just come off of 100-degree weather for about a week straight, and then you wake up to this and it's just very rejuvenating and makes you want to get back out in the garden. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this video, and if you haven't yet, please give us a like, subscribe, share with a friend if you'd like. We'd love to have good folks like you tag along with us as we garden away. We got a huge amount of garden projects coming up through the winter. It's not going to stop for us, so it'd be fun to have you join us and encourage us along the way because it is a lot of work, as you know. And yeah, it's just fun to have people kind of chime in as well in the comments of like what you like or what you don't like or a suggestion, and it just makes me feel like, well, if you farmed and gardened full time, I have my brother Keith here and Riley in the studio, but it is kind of a lonely life. So when you're just working by yourself, so it's kind of fun to have people like you come along, even though we don't always answer all the comments, probably because we're really busy, but I hear you, I read them, I know, and I'm just like, I usually will read a comment and then answer and say something in my head, and I'm like, you know, I should just take the time to like do the things. Maybe I'd be a better YouTuber, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go gather up the hydrangeas and get them kind of placed and see how that looks this morning, and then I'm cutting a whole bunch I have some bouquets to do up, so I'm gonna have to take a little break, and I know that Keith and I are gonna be coming back to this project this week, so getting this whole thing done, but this morning I wanted to just get a few things laid out so that he knows what to shop for, what I can think about. I have an idea, but I just want to lay it out in my head and live with it for a couple days. You know me, I like to do that. I just pop things around the garden in their pots and then make sure that that's where I really want them, and then we'll plant them in. I've wanted to do this for a very long time, and this actual garden has gone through quite a transformation even from the time that we arrived here at Crowley House over, I want to say 15 years ago. So the lavender was just bent over, ugly, gross. It had been here since we arrived, and so it just needed cut back and removed, and then other things brought in. So as you can tell, we've got the hydrangea. I'll go through everything that we're planting today, actually, give you the list of things that we're putting in this garden. As you can tell, it's early morning, so we get a lot of shade until afternoon, and it gets direct sun afternoon unless a car is parked here or something like that. Brayden has removed all the rocks, so we're just basically, when you have a rock border, it tends to sink down into the soil over the years. So what we're doing is just pulling the rock out, rearranging it, making it look fresh and clean. And Keith went to get some compost so we can start planting. I think I'm just gonna lay out the plants first together and just kind of look at it from all sides and see what we think. So I was gonna go through what we are planting today. So this is Tiki Pieris, which it's got the white bloom. So everything that we're planting is very neutral, just because I don't want to compete too much with the house. It's an evergreen shrub that gets 4x4. It's partial sun, so it's early to bloom on this one. Then we have the hydrangea, which is going to die back some. It will have some sort of wood structure. This is a limelight. It's by Proven Winners, the Limelight Pinnacle Hydrangea. This one is a big monster. This one gets 6x8, so pretty dang big, and then it has that beautiful fall interest on it right there, which is really kind of fun, but big guy here. So we have a couple of them actually that we're planting. The other one is going to be on the corner of the house. We're actually going to take this butterfly bush out because it's just massive and it just kind of hides the house too much, and it's messy. This is a Pieris. This is called Enchanted Forest Collection. River Runs Through by Monrovia Nursery. This one gets 6x6, so a little bit larger, and is later to bloom than the Tiki. So we've got two Tikis, one right here and then one back further. The Pinnacle Hydrangea, the River Runs Through, Enchanted Forest, River Runs Through, Pieris, and then we just pulled in a few hellebores that are going to bloom early spring right here. So this one's called Frosted Kiss and is red, so a little bit deeper color in spring that will look really pretty against the white. An echinacea that I seeded a long time ago but is finally doing well. I also popped in lower down, this is kind of like a peace rose, I believe. It was here when we moved in, but it's kind of pinky colored. And then later in the season, we're going to have this ground cover, which is called Blue Bouquet Meadow Sage. So that's going to be really pretty, just kind of along these rocks here, and it's going to fill in really, really nicely. So Keith ended up picking up a few rudbeckias. These are small little plants, but isn't that gorgeous, that yellow? So this one is called Summerina Yellow. So that's really pretty. It's like got that very autumn feel to it. And so we're just gonna add that right next to this sedum. So it's gonna kind of show off right here. We have 3 of them. They'll fill in over time, but that'll look really pretty as it fills out and gets a little bit larger. So we're also going to be planting some wedding bells. It's part of the wedding party series, which is a Lenten rose in kind of a white color, which is going to be really nice. Also accenting all the white in this garden and blush. So yeah. So up by the front garden, I had a couple of these very struggling fuchsias, and these are the hardy fuchsias. So this is called Purple Mountain, and we got it from Dancing Oaks, which if you know anything about Dancing Oaks, they have like an online catalog that they'll ship, but they're out by us. I've been out there once before. It's kind of remote. You kind of have to travel to it. So out on gravel roads. So this gives me hope for our gardens that people will venture our way. So they do shipping and things like that, but this one is called Purple Mountain. This gets about 4 feet tall, and you can tell I've had it for like a couple of years. Too much shade for this one, so I'm moving it to some place that's gonna get some morning shade and a little bit of afternoon sun. We have another one of these that's out in another garden over by the little greenhouse, and that one is doing fantastic. So I'm gonna repot these kind of between these ponderosas and see if they do any better, because they're very, very hardy in our area and they come back beautiful. And you can actually use these as a cut, which is really cool. So we'll see how they do. So we've made the decision to take out this butterfly bush, or a buddleia. It's not an invasive one, so we did take some cuttings of it just to have. We do use it sometimes for a cut, so it'd be nice to spot it around the gardens. It just gets massive and it covers the window, and it's just kind of not super tidy. So what we're gonna do is plant a couple more hydrangeas. We're gonna be planting just a limelight, similar to the one that we just planted here in this little garden up front. So we're gonna be planting this other one, which is really cute. It's called Candied Apple, and it gets about 5 feet by 5 feet. So I think that's just gonna look really, really pretty. Just kind of bumped in here. So both of these can tolerate full sun. This one's from Monrovia, the Candied Apple, and then the limelight is from Proven Winners. So the Proven Winners hydrangeas we got kind of just randomly, and you know how like when they don't water really well or things just don't look good, you get it at a discount this time of year in the fall. So both those hydrangeas, they still look good. They've lost some of their foliage and things, so fingers crossed that they survive and come back beautiful next year.
All right, so I'm just continuing the rock border around the entire perimeter of this garden, and we'll see how it looks when it's done.
So one trick in doing bark dust or mulch over plants is to go ahead and throw your pots or a larger pot over the top of your plants, and then it doesn't get all the bark on it. The other thing is you could literally just use a hose and hose it off. So to kind of give you an overall recap of the gardens, we ended up putting in a limelight hydrangea here, which will get really big. So you gotta imagine this garden. That's one thing that I think folks forget about, is that things fill in, but that's gonna fill into that spot there. We have some salvias that we popped in. I think there's 4 of them. So we kind of separated them so they didn't look so odd, but that's kind of like a ground cover salvia. We have our rose from Heirloom Roses, which is Julia's rose, which is going to be really pretty, and that's going to fill in this spot. We have some pyarises here, 2 different types, so they're going to bloom 2 different times. We have 3 of them kind of triangled through this garden. And then we put in a few more of the hellebore. So can you imagine the show in spring is just going to be gorgeous. This is going to fill in this spot here. We have some ferns and things like that that kind of tucked back there, kind of gave it a woodland feel. And then turning this way towards the Crowley house, we have another limelight hydrangea. And then we have, I think it's called something apple. I'll have to look at the tag again, but another hydrangea there that gets 5 by 5. So it's going to fill in that whole spot where that butterfly bush was coming up. And you can just see how much that's just opened up the house, and it's just going to allow much more light into the living room that is just inside the front door. I reworked both of these guys here. So these are just some wine barrels that I took out everything, put in a couple mouse ear hosta here, and then another one tucked in over here, and then just some pansies throughout that. So the other thing we did over on this side is I took out that wine barrel because I felt like it was really heavy. I did like it. I have this rain chain that comes from the top deck of the Crowley house here, and so then I just found this rock that was in our garden that was kind of drilled out. I'm not sure what they were doing, but it's got a hole in it, and I just put some pea gravel inside just like that. And then the rain chain, I'm gonna have to weight it down because the wind's gonna blow it, but I'll figure out that eventually. So even though the gardens don't look that much, you can tell this is gonna fill out. I'll probably have to move that hellebore eventually, but for now I'm just gonna keep it there. Gotta scrub the walls. We're actually gonna be painting pretty soon. Just everything just needs a little freshening up. And then I've got to continue around this garden eventually. We did put down a fresh layer of mulch, and then yeah, I think it looks really good. Again, it's a work in progress as always. We're going to be starting on gardens over on this side and just giving the Crowley House studio a little bit more of a makeover. Probably next video we'll be starting on that very soon. I did pop through just a couple color spots of some pansies through here, and then I put a mum, which is kind of a burgundy colored mum, into this old colander pot that sits on this old stump. But yeah, I think it turned out really nice. This is kind of the view that people will get when they first kind of drive in here. The one thing I don't quite know, I'm going to remove this eventually, but I need to take some cuttings off this. This is a currant. This is one of our native currants, and it's the dark pink one. So that one, I just need to clean up a little bit and get that propagated. And then I moved part of this already to another location. It just struggles a little bit, and I'm thinking it might do better over in my shade garden. Well, another project checked off the list. We got everything planted. We even did a little bit of work further over by the main gardens. And then now we just need to set some sprinklers and get it all settled into its new home. But I'm loving how everything turned out. I feel like this garden and my style is kind of this cottage garden / traditional look. Even in home decor and things like that, I'm kind of like that. And so I've been thinking a little bit about like how you find your style in gardening, and buying what you love but keeping color palettes. It's just like furniture or textiles or, you know, anything that you're putting into your home. You kind of have this feel and look, and then you kind of repeat that same color throughout the house. And the garden is like this here. So where the hydrangeas are going to be more of the staple of this design for this portion of the house, mixing in that cottage garden feel with some of the other elements like echinacea and rudbeckias and things like that that we've added to this garden. So over time, I feel like this garden's going to really play out beautifully and be this amazing showpiece as you just, you know, drive into the Crowley house. That's kind of the idea. We'll be adding things in as I can afford it and as, you know, the design develops, which is really cool. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little makeover of the front gardens here at Crowley House. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend. We'd love to have them tag along with us here at Crowley House. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. So until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very, very soon. Have another little makeover we're going to be doing on the studio, so that'll be kind of fun. All right, guys, bye.